Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. My mum and I did the exact same thing at the exact same time without knowing it. We live 3,500 kilometers away from each other. 6 comments. Share, save, hide, report. 100% upvoted. End of story. Next story. Story of my sister's passing. It was a normal morning. I had just finished 3rd period. When a guidance counselor told me to pack my bag and come outside. I wasn't sure what to make of it. But I knew something terrible happened. When I saw my sisters in the parking lot crying, I thought maybe my dad was in critical condition. He'd fallen and injured his rib 2 nights prior. But then they said it. Carmel, my oldest sister, died. She had been declared dead by police at 5:30 a.m. I came home to a scene like no other. A dozen people from the community comforting my mother. She and my father drenched in tears. I asked my dad how his rib felt. He said nothing matters in light of Carmel's passing. We couldn't bury her the next day, Tuesday, since that was New Year's. And the diggers have off. So on Wednesday, we held her funeral. There was an almost psychedelic feeling turning away from my house in the limo. It didn't feel real, but it also felt all too real. We all spoke at the funeral. My parents could hardly speak over their tears. They were completely broken. But the attendance amazed me. Hundreds of people showed up. And I never would have expected that for Carmel. Or for myself. Their presence comforted me. Later that day, my family, and our community buried my sister. One day, we were chatting. A few days later, I had a shovel in my hand. We returned home for 7 ritual days of mourning. My class visited me one afternoon. And I told them how effervescent Carmel was. How full of life. I've never had another such sincere or solemn moment of connection with my peers. The last time I ever saw my sister, she had helped us set up the new TV. Rather than invite her to watch with me, I stood by as she left the house to go to a dangerous place. 30 hours later, she was gone forever. What I learned most from this is to always see the good in people. You don't realize how precious someone is until she is gone. End of story. Next story. Fucked my bed while dreaming about Major Kira, so I stopped watching porn and masturbating for 2 days now. All was good until last night. I finished watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine and there was this character called Major Kira. I found her to be cute and shit but didn't think of her that much. So last night, I dreamt about being in love with Major Kira and getting laid. The weird part was, in the TV show Major Kira is a Bajoran, not a human. So in my dream, while I am having sex with her, her ass felt harder, less juicy, than the normal ass of a woman. So in my dream I am saying, I never knew Bajoran women's asses are a lot different than human women's asses, and kept on doing the deed. I came and that was it. In the morning when I woke up, I realized that I did it on my bed. And because the mattress is hard, that was why my brain was explaining the hardness of the girl's ass, that she is Bajoran. End of story. Next story. The time I accidentally ate my stepdad's edibles at 12 years old. 14 comments. Share, save, hide, report. 99% upvoted. End of story. Next story. People laughed at him when he was planting trees in the desert. But later on everyone was amazed. Jadav Payeng is known as a forest man of India. He has spent 30 years of his life planting trees to save his island, creating a forest and restoring its wildlife. All of this began when he was just a little boy. One day the boy went to the local palmist and he prophesied that Jadav's life will take the course of nature. His story begins in 1979. After a devastating flood, he found many dead snakes on the shore. They died from the heat. Since the bank was absolutely deserted, and there was not a single tree that could give them shade, and no opportunity to return back to the saving river, he wondered what it would look like if the same happened to humans. The island was being eroded very quickly. What he saw deeply shocked Jadav. He decided to change the situation and make the river bank habitable. He first planted only 20 bamboo seedlings to see if they could take root. The bamboo took root and turned green. So Jadav continued to plant trees. He decided to live in the newly planted forest, looking after it, and planting more and more new territories around with trees. You can also watch a video here. https://www.youtube.com/watch v = 9xkr7nk7rbg. End of story. Next story. Random girl. So today I went to the beach, and as I was exiting my car walking towards the beach, a car full of girls passed by me in the parking lot and the passenger said, "Marco," to me. I was surprised but I responded, "Polo." She then laughed and they drove off. Just randomness like that makes the day more memorable, and just wanted to share this experience I had. End of story. Next story. My brother ran his PS Vita under the sink. My brother was attempting to clean his old PS Vita which he got a few years ago, and it was just gathering dust. He ran it under the sink thinking it was waterproof and completely destroyed it. I didn't wanna laugh but I did. Frickin' 17-year-olds can't remember a time when devices weren't all waterproof. Too bad. So sad. End of story. Next story. I started a smut writing competition in 5th grade and got our class in trouble. This was the time when Wattpad was gaining popularity. I started writing stories in my notebook and my best friend said I have a talent for writing and that I should be an author lol. At first, I was just writing about short romantic stories. But then I came across this smut fiction story on Wattpad and got inspired to write one, and so I wrote a smut story in one of my spare notebook. It was about a maid and her boss making out in the living room while his wife went to work. My best friend read it and she was mind blown. She started talking about it to our other classmates, and soon after everyone has read it. Everyone was praising my writing skills and kids from other class also knew about the story I wrote. I was super happy. I felt like I'm in the same level as Shakespeare, and I was genuinely thinking about doing this for a living. I was in 5th grade SMH. One of my friend, Earl, and my seatmate, Wrench, were also aspiring young authors lol. They started writing smut stories and my classmates thought it was great too. So is the founding author of my class. I had a bright idea about starting a writing competition. One day, there was no teacher and we were just chilling in the classroom reading each other's stories and judging them. I got up and told the whole class about my idea of a writing competition. Most of my classmates were in on it. There were 3 contestants in total. Me, Wrench and Earl. The judges were our classmates and we have about a week to finish our stories. I asked them what topic they want us to write and surprise everyone suggested smut. So for the following week, I spent my time writing this 10-page smut FIC story. I forgot what's it about, but I remembered that I made it comic style. There were stick figures next to the paragraphs to help the young judges with their imagination LMAO. Monday came around and my stupid ass forgot to bring the damn notebook. My dumbass hid it in my closet because I was afraid my mom might read it. She reads my school notes. Good thing is Wrench still hasn't finished her story, so I wasn't alone showing up to school with no story for the judges to read. So Earl, being the only one who has finished his story, he handed it to the young inexperienced judges. There were no teacher that time, so the stupid judges piled up in the corner of the room and read the story as loud as they can. There were about 20 students surrounding one of my classmates who was reading it. These stupid mofos be so loud though. Like every time the reader reads a sentence they cheered, screech, shout and laughed hysterically. WTF is wrong with these kids? They were about to finish the story when our teacher walked in. They were all facing the other way, so they didn't notice him till he shouted, "Why are you all so loud?" Quote, they scrambled around the room to go to their seats. No one said a thing, so the teacher asked, "Why are you all piled up in the corner? What are you kids talking about?" Then this one motherfucking snitch said, "They were reading sex stories." I felt like I received a gut punch from JoJo. I was so nervous I felt like I'm gonna pass out. Why the fuck would he do that? I mean, we're not friends, but really? You gonna bring the class down like that? From that it escalated quickly. The teacher talked to Earl outside, and he told him everything GGGGG. When they came back, the teacher told me to write down everyone involved in the whole writing competition thingy. My classmates of course talked to me and tried to convince me to not write their names down. I was like, WTF, y'all bitches agreed to be the judges and y'all read the damn thing and enjoyed every bit of it. We're all going down. I'm not gonna leave anyone behind. After class, all the kids in the list I made were left out and had a 2-hour lecture about morals and stuff. Luckily we weren't brought to the principal's office and the teacher didn't contact our parents. It's probably because our class is the star section. Everyone in our class is more academically advanced than the other class, something like that. The teacher just told us not to do it again. I went home that day praying my ass out to Jesus and asking for his forgiveness. I told myself that I'll throw the notebook away when I get home. But shit, I got home to my mom sitting in front of my closet while reading the motherfucking notebook. Needless to say, I still got them battle scars from that day. Single quote. TLDR. I started a smut writing competition in 5th grade and got our class in mild trouble. I repented on my way home, but when I got to my room my mom was reading the smut story I wrote and she beat the shit out of me. Sorry for the grammatical mistakes. English is not my first language, he. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.